And I can feel the spirit of ever-rising optimism in the Sikh tradition, Chardi Kala, within him.
Good morning. My name is Jan Shea, and I'm happy to be serving as your worship associate this morning. On behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, I welcome you to this morning's hybrid service, whether you're joining us virtually or here in the sanctuary. I'd like to offer a special welcome to the children and youth who are joining us this morning. I'm looking forward to hearing the children's choir. I heard them rehearse, and they were pretty darn good. They'll be singing our prelude immediately following the welcome and announcements. If you're new to First Unitarian, I invite you to check out our website, firstuuwilm.org, to learn more about us and to sign up for our email newsletter. If you're joining us online, and you're interested in learning more about our congregation's ongoing activities, you will find a link in our chat that leads you to a brief form enabling you to sign up for our e-newsletter. First Unitarian Church is a welcoming congregation. We affirm the worth and dignity of all, no matter your racial or ethnic identity, pronouns or gender expression, sexual orientation, family structure, income, immigration status, language, size, or abilities, and you are welcome here. We hope you'll join us in Fellowship Hall after the service for coffee and conversation. There are still 2 more weeks to contribute to our annual Counterpoint Drive, if you haven't already done so. The Counterpoint Society provides financial support for our music program, including such special events as Music Sundays and holiday services featuring guest musicians, as well as our Sunday concert series. And speaking of the Sunday concert series, we hope you'll all plan to come to our next concert event, Songs and Sundays, on Sunday, October 22nd at 2:00 p.m. This fun, family-friendly event will not only feature our own First U choir and a number of soloists performing a wide variety of musical theater tunes across the decades, but will also feature an ice cream sundae bar at the conclusion of the concert. It's a great way to cap off the Counterpoint Drive and to thank you for supporting our music program. For more information about the Counterpoint Society, to make a donation, or to just say hi and chat with a choir member, please stop by the table in Parish Hall after the service. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
So, that was so beautiful, wasn't it? Let's give him one more applause. So when is the last time you experienced beauty? Anybody? Just now. That was. Let's just let it in and savor it. Is there another time when you experienced beauty? Outside. So beauty is all around us. When's the last time you experienced peace? Sorry, I can't hear you. Say it again. Listening to sounds outside.
The week over summer when I had our camp.
Over summer when you had the camp. All the time. Nature is beautiful. You love nature so much because it's so cute. Okay, so I want to have us do together, in the slide please, have us do together, if you all just stand, this blessing that I have adopted from the indigenous people. This is a Navajo blessing. And it has some movements. You'll say it after me. Ready? Ready? Beauty in front of me. Beauty in front of me. Beauty behind me. Beauty behind me. Beauty above me. Beauty above me. Beauty below me. Beauty below me. Beauty all around me. We walk or move in beauty. We walk or move in beauty. Peace in front of me. Peace in front of me. Peace behind me. Peace behind me. Peace above me. Peace above me. Peace below me. Peace below me. Peace all around me. We walk or move in peace. And now Adris will come up and she has an announcement and an activity she wants you to do with her. You can be seated.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adris Harrell, and I am a member of the newly formed Marketing Outreach Team for the church, MOT. But we call ourselves the Motley Crew. It's cooler. I serve on the team with Dan Chakala, Pam Finkelman, and Kate Cowperthwaite. This team was formed as a result of the strategic planning meetings where you all affirmed that growing our congregation, especially to younger members of the community, is important. As many of you know, Social media is now an important part of marketing. And selfies are an important part of social media. So, we are going to take a giant selfie today. But we need your help to make this a marketing success. If you have a Facebook account, please be sure to go to the church's Facebook page after the service and tag yourself on the photo and share the photo on your Facebook page. For those of you watching online, feel free to tag yourself because you're here virtually too. And if you do not want your face in the photo, please just tilt your head down so you can still be counted. Oh, and you'll also see this selfie on Instagram too. Feel free to repost that as well. Word of mouth from friends is often the best way to attract new people to church. And social media is the virtual form of word of mouth. When you like, share, or comment on a post from the church, it tells the algorithm that this post is interesting, and it shows it to more people. So clicking and commenting is an easy way to help increase visibility of First U. Okay, so we're going to take the selfie. I'm going to take a few tries because I'm a middle-aged woman and my kids say I take terrible selfies. So I need to make sure I get it right. So Larry, you're going to come up here. And then choir, I'm going to take a separate one with you because I can't get everybody in. Okay. Take a couple. Oh, that did not go. All right, hopefully one of those got.
Beauty in front of me.
Okay. Thank you.
And now I'd like to invite the Sikala family to join me in lighting our chalice. If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join us in lighting it now. Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times, our ancestors in faith acted with courage. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world still dangerous and despairing. And now please rise as you are willing or able in singing hymn number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River. And if you have not already selected one of our vast array of rhythm instruments on your way in, we invite you to choose one now from the baskets in the back of the sanctuary so that you, as Reverend Larry will demonstrate, can play along as you sing along. And hang on to them for use again in our closing hymn at the end of the service. And now please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Hunger is scary. Just like you can't always see a ghost, you can't always tell who is hungry or food insecure.
1 in 7 children in Delaware face hunger and food insecurity. This means 3 or 4 children in our classes at school may be hungry.
Around 1 out of 10 seniors, people 60 and older, face hunger in Delaware.
Altogether, in Delaware, 1 out of every 10 people are hungry or food insecure.
What does food insecurity mean? Food insecurity is a lack of access to enough food for every person in a household to live an active, healthy life.
This can be temporarily situation happening for 1 month or a few months a year. For a family, or it can last a long time.
What can you do to help prevent hunger? Bring food to church and support our food drive for the Delaware Food Bank.
The Delaware Food Bank has a list of its most needed items, including canned fruit and its own juices. Hot and cold cereals like oatmeal, Cheerios, Corn Flakes, and Raisin Bran are also needed.
Consider donating canned meat such as tuna, salmon, and chicken packed in water. Low sodium peanut butter is another great choice.
Grains such as brown or white rice and pasta are needed, as well as canned or dried beans.
Sodium-free canned vegetables are needed along with 100% fruit and vegetable juices, including juice boxes, and don't forget healthy snacks like raisins and granola bars.
Hunger is scary.
We're counting on you to help.
Our classmates.
Elders in our community.
And our neighbors.
Please bring food items through October 29th so we can make a donation to the Delaware Food Bank. A flyer with the most needed food items is available in the parish hall during coffee hour.
And now, please join in singing these children out to their religious education groups. The words are on the screen.
So let us prepare now for a time of meditation. To begin our meditation today, I offer this teaching from Guru Nanak, who was the first teacher of this Sikh faith. Oftentimes it's pronounced Sikh faith. Guru Nanak taught that all of us could come to a place where we could say, I see no stranger. He taught that there is a voice inside of each of us called Humai, the I that names itself as separate from you. The voice resides in a bowl that holds our individual consciousness, but separateness is an illusion. When we quiet the chatter in our heads through music or meditation or song, the boundaries begin to disappear and the bowl dissolves. For a moment, we tasted the truth, sweet as nectar, that we are part of one another. Long after the moment passes, we can choose to remember the truth of our interconnectedness, that we belong to one another. We can choose to see no stranger. So now we enter into this time of meditation that will lead into our silent time, our time of shared silence. Feel your body being held by the chair that supports you. Feel your feet caressing the earth as the earth caresses your feet. Feel the stillness that is available to you. Feel the peace that wants to ignite your own soul this moment. As we think about the places in our world where peace is not present, where more people see each other as strangers and not interconnected, we think, of course, particularly on this day, of Israel, Palestine, of Ukraine, and other places ravished by war and separation. So I light this candle to remind us of the care and the compassion that we can send to those places in our globe, in our world, and in our own country. May we radiate peace. May we be instruments of peace. May peace indeed be in front of us, above us, and all around us. It's in that spirit of peace that we gather now during this time of shared silence. Peace, salam, shalom. We do take a short time each time we gather on a Sunday to listen to the cares, the concerns of our heart, and also listen for those joys that are emerging in our own lives. So let's take a moment first to attend to our own hearts, and then I will invite those who wish to speak their concern into this room to do so, and also, after that, any joys you may be holding today. So what are the concerns that weigh heavy on your own heart, for yourself, for those you love, or for our world? And if you want to speak them into this room or write them in the chat, you may do so now. May you feel surrounded by care and love and compassion. May we be that care and that love and compassion that extends to you and through you as well. What joys might be lightening your heart on this particular day that you'd like to name in this room? Yeah. Okay, who else saw those mushrooms that Renee's talking about? Yeah, and someone even took a photo of them, yes. Other joys. Okay, nice. Okay. What did you say, June? What did you say? That's what I thought you said. Welcome, Bruce. So for all the concerns and for the joys that we hold in this community, may all whose names were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day.
And I can feel the spirit of ever-rising optimism in the Sikh tradition, Chardi Kala, within him. And so the mother in me asks, what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America... is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all of our grandfathers or grandmothers grandmothers are standing behind us now, those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault. What if they're whispering in our ear today, tonight, you are brave? What if this is our nation's great transition? What does the midwife tell us to do? Breathe. And then, because if we don't push, we will die. If we don't push, our nation will die. Tonight, we will breathe. Tomorrow, we will labor in love. And I can feel the spirit of ever-rising optimism in the Sikh tradition, Chardi Kala, within him. And so the mother in me asks, what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America... What if our America is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all of our grandfathers or grandmothers are standing behind us now, those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault? What if they're whispering in our ear today, tonight, you are brave? What if this is our nation's great transition? What does the midwife tell us to do? Breathe. And then, because if we don't push, we will die. If we don't push, our nation will die. Tonight, we will breathe. Tomorrow, we will labor in love, through love, and your revolutionary love is the magic we will show our children. Vai Guruji ka khalsa, Vai Guruji ki fateh.
Okay. When this video that we've just seen was first launched, it was viewed by more than 1 million people across the world in the weeks that followed. Valarie Kaur is the speaker. The event, a New Year's Eve service, which is called a Watch Night service at the Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. What Kaur said resonated profoundly with all who heard her then, and perhaps it resonates with us now as well. She proclaimed that the future is dark, but what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our country is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? That statement brought people to their feet in that church on New Year's Day, and you may have recognized Reverend Dr. William Barber of the Poor People's Campaign. He's a large and tall man, and even he stood up and danced just a little bit as he heard those words, moved to say amen. The date of the speech is a significant one, January 1st, 2016. A time when the daily news of the implications of a dramatic turn in the political landscape of this country was still being absorbed. A time when there was a growing awareness of unyielding political polarization. A time when it seemed that there was an increasing unleashing of hate speech and its accompanying violence. All of this was still beginning to be absorbed in the hearts, the minds, and the souls of many Americans. Yet here we are, October 2023, and in many ways, we Americans are still living in the throes of disruptions and divisions and grappling with these questions of who are we? What is happening to us? And why is this happening? Of course, there are no easy answers. We could easily rush to the conclusion that all we value, all that we have come to cherish, is diminishing, if not dying. We live in anxieties and fears that this apparently fractured world cannot be made whole, cannot be healed again. Yet Valarie Kaur, a civil rights activist, lawyer, filmmaker, and a member of the Sikh faith, in her speech offers us a significant possible reframing of the situation that we are in. What if? The darkness we are experiencing is not a tomb, she declares, but a womb. What if the darkness we are experiencing is not an end, but a beginning? Remember, she's asking a question. What if? Repeat that question aloud with me. What if? So when we allow ourselves to linger in a question like what if, rather than to rush to a premature conclusion, I believe that we are invited into a generative space, a terrain where we may see possibilities even in the midst of the turmoil. Such an invitation asks us to consider that the divisions that we are facing are actually a transition, a birthing, with all of its accompanying labor pains. Some have called this time a time of the great turning. To name these fractures in our world as a transition, a great turning, or a birth, as Kaur says, did not mean that we deny or avoid the real challenges before us. In fact, when we move beyond retreat to a premature tomb, to stay with Kaur's metaphor, we can look more boldly at the signs all around us, such as threats to our democracy, political insanity. I was searching for another word, but that's the one that came to me. Wars, climate change, and the real threats to those who are despised and diminished because of their gender, their sexual orientation, their immigrant status, their racial or ethnic background as indications of an underlying shift that wants to occur. As a congregation, as a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we don't dismiss reality by saying it is God's will or that it's all part of a divine plan, do we? No, as Unitarian Universalists, we don't relinquish responsibility by saying it's because of them, fill in the blank in every way you want, that we are in the circumstances that we are in. At our best, we recognize that shifting the blame is not the resolution. Whether we like it or not, we are all in this together. What if we all took on this personal and collective labor to engage with this transition and transformation that we are on the brink of in this moment? What if we approached rather than avoided the anxieties of this moment in history and in our cultures? My friends, we need to not let these circumstances define us, dismay us, or defeat us. That would make this the darkness of the tomb, where eventually we would not be able to lift even a single finger to blame anyone much longer. We must not let these present circumstances define us, dismay us, or defeat us, my friends. Instead, we need to relentlessly allow these circumstances to deploy us. Yes, to deploy us, to send us into our work as midwives. As midwives, we may be deployed to engage in the labor that enables us to truly proclaim, we are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day, we are building a new way. Oh, and when I say we in this circumstance, I don't mean some generic we, someone over there or up there. I mean someone right here. I mean us. We means those of us who are parents, who each day labor to guide our children and nurture their capacities to feel courage, to feel hope, to dream, and to engage in the world that is and the world that they will inherit. We means those of us who are doing their work in the world as laborers or teachers, retailers, in social services, in medical care, in legal services, or volunteers, and many other roles. As midwives, we may ask ourselves, how does our day-to-day work bring about a new way? How can our work birth the world that wants to be? We means those of us who may, for the most part, be retired. You have still some tending of the soul to do, still some healing of the world to accomplish. You still have a legacy to fashion the future for future generations. As my friend Parker Palmer says, looking around at our shared world, its suffering and its promise, I see the courage with which so many live in service of human possibility. Old age is no time to hunker down. I'm not looking at anyone in particular, by the way. Old age is no time to hunker down unless disability demands it. Old is just another word for nothing left to lose, says Parker. A time of life to take bigger risks on behalf of the common good. Can I hear an amen? We are in this together. Younger or older, employed or not, as we huddle in this sacred sanctuary, we huddle not to retreat, but to renew and recharge our commitment. We recognize that we are in a time when we need a sacred center, whether it is a sanctuary or not, to take on our fuller vocation in this moment. Whether in the world out there or the church right here, we need to step up our game. Get out of our misconception that it will all happen for us and without us. Sure, we will have our moments when we want to throw up our hands and say, what's the use? Even if we don't say the words, I want you to invite you into that movement of throwing up your hands right now. Keep them up. In those moments of throwing up our hands, we're tempted towards relinquishing our hope for the world. Stay there momentarily with hands raised in that what's the use posture. And I want us now to slowly bring those arms very slowly in. So slowly that as we do so, we are embracing what is. Holding it in our tender care and bringing our heart to the work of peacemaking, compassion, and advocacy again and again and again. So when we're tempted to say, what's the use? Go with that movement for a moment. Recognize that movement in yourself and use it as an impetus to very slowly embrace whatever latest upset in the world and all of its messiness and confusion has prompted you to throw up your hands and slowly begin to scan the horizon to see what little action or attitude you can call forward to respond rather than to retreat. To respond rather than retreat. No one's exempt from this work. Your occupation, your stage in life, your busyness, each must find their own response to Howard Thurman's inquiry. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. In case you haven't made the connection, come alive means that we are seeing the darkness and the brokenness of the world as a preamble to a womb, a birth, a building a new way that wants to happen in us and through us. I'm so encouraged to be in the presence of a community that embraces life and embraces our role and our responsibility in it. Rather than throw up our hands and say, what's the use? I say, ask ourselves, how can I be of use? So let's try that. What the use? What's the use? How can I be of use? That's your practice for the week. You got it? if we are to take on our role of being the midwives of a birth of a new way, Valarie Kaur advises us to follow the direction of the midwife. Breathe and then push. Both are important. To breathe means that we must pause. We must take a breath. To breathe means we must take it all in. To breathe means that we must embrace it. To breathe means that we must honor ourselves and the life that is still within us and among us. To breathe in many of the world's religious traditions means to be inspirited. In many of the religious traditions, breath is considered similar to the spirit. In Hebrew scriptures, ruach means breath, wind, and spirit. In Buddhism, attending to the breath is a way to be awakened in the moment. In Christianity, it is said that the Spirit blows where it will, and we must be carried by our breath in the Spirit into where we are led to respond. In Islam, the word Islam means submission, and is thought that by breathing in and out, we're constantly renewing our submission to God. In Hinduism, prana is often translated as the breath of life. And the practice of pranayama, as some of my fellow yogis know, is that breath practice that allows us to see the connection between our breath and our mental state. Among the Native Americans, the people called Plains tribes, it was felt that we must choose our words carefully, because when you're saying the words, you're actually breathing the breath of the ancestors. Yet, as Kaur acknowledges, we must not just breathe. We must also push. Breathe and push are connected. Did you know that the word conspirator comes from the Latin root to breathe together? The way of peace means that we need to find ways to not just breathe on our own, to just bring ourselves to a peaceful, measured state, but it also means to breathe together, to find ways to join with others as part of a co-conspirators of building a new way, a way of greater peace. We must breathe, but we must also push. To push means that we take an active role in the peaceful resistance to some of the forces of hatred and oppression, denial and despair, so prevalent in our world today. To push means to be a force. I like to think of that push as similar to Mahatma Gandhi's, an exemplar, a peaceful, nonviolent resistor, who called it a soul force, satyagraha. Kaur draws from her own Sikh tradition as she tells the story of seeing no stranger. She learned that lesson from her grandfather. One day, she went to her grandfather for consolation after she had been bullied at school as a 6-year-old because she was Sikh and not Christian. Her grandfather advised her to see no stranger. He then passed on the teaching of their Sikh faith. Everyone is a part of us that we do not yet know. Everyone is a part of us that we do not yet know. Today, Kaur acknowledges that many religions teach us to love one another, and Kaur is interested in teaching practices that give us ways to actually do so. Kaur explains revolutionary love is the choice to labor for others, our opponents, and ourselves. Love has been captured by greeting cards and pop songs as personal and romantic, she says, too fickle and sentimental to be a revolutionary force. But the greatest social reformers in history grounded entire movements in the ethic of love. Revolutionary love is the call to our times. She says, we believe it's time to reclaim love as a public ethic. In an era of enormous grief and rage, we must resist policies and acts of hate that threaten our most vulnerable communities. Resistance alone will not deliver us, she says. We need a cultural intervention to birth a new future where love is a force for justice and a wellspring for social change. Each of us has a role. When we lead with love, we labor with joy, and we begin to see no stranger. In Kaur's pathway to this power of revolutionary love, she points out that we must attend to ourselves, to others, and to our opponent, those who oppose us. Within each of these arenas of revolutionary love, there's an inner work represented by the words in the inner circle, as well as interpersonal work represented by the words in the middle circle, the center circle, and institutional practices represented by the words in the third circle from the center. Each practice enables and builds upon the practice that goes before it. I don't have the time to go into much depth into all of these dimensions of revolutionary love. However, I will say something briefly about each. If this intrigues you, you'll find a page with this tool in the back of the sanctuary by the name tags after the service, and a link to a website with an extensive practical guide on how to live this. The name of the practices for loving the other are called, you might have guessed, See No Stranger. As you recall, this comes from Kaur's Sikh tradition and the teaching that everyone is a part of that which we did not yet know. Surprisingly, perhaps, seeing no stranger begins with the practice of wonder. Wonder, she writes, is the wellspring for love. Who we wonder about determines whose stories we hear and whose joy and pain we share. She talks as a mother of 2 young children and says that as she looks at her children each day, she realizes that she first has to start with wonder. Where are they now? What do they need most from me? And so wonder allows her to respond to her children in a fresh way. The same is with our approach to partners or our spouses or others in our world. To approach with wonder allows us to make a deeper connection rather than to assume we already know who they are. When a critical mass of people, she says, come together to wonder about one another, grieve with one another, and fight or struggle for one another, we begin to build the solidarity needed for collective liberation and transformation, a solidarity that is rooted in love. To love our opponents means that we must first tend the wound in ourselves and the other. She writes, whether our opponents are political or personal, persistent or fleeting, we can practice tending the wound, ours, and only if it's safe, theirs. We can rage in safe containers to process our pain, listen to and understand the context that enable our opponents to cause harm. Why is it that someone is causing harm? What's the hurt or the wound that they may have experienced that causes them to act in this way? In loving ourselves, the overall practices help us to embody, breathe, and push. She writes, we can breathe to draw energy and power into our bodies and to let joy in. We can push through fear and pain to become our best selves, including through healing and forgiveness and reconciliation. Laboring in love is how we birth the world to come. So we are at a crossroads, my friends. At this crossroads, we do have a choice to throw up our hands and say, what's the use? Or to slowly and in various contexts within ourselves and towards others and even those who oppose us, to engage in those practices of revolutionary love. In my opinion, we must embrace life. We must embrace more of life. For what if everyone and everything is a part of us that we did not know? For as James Baldwin admonishes us, one must say yes to life and embrace it wherever it is found. And it is found in terrible places, for nothing is fixed forever and forever and ever. It is not fixed. The earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. The sea does not cease to grind down rock. Generations do not cease to be born, and we are responsible to them because we are the only witnesses they have. The sea rises, the light fails, lovers cling to each other, and children cling to us. The moment that we cease to hold each other, the moment we break faith with one another, the sea engulfs us, and the light goes out. Amen.
Now we come to the point in our service where we focus on the stewardship needs of our church. In reflecting on this month's Soul Matters theme, Heritage, I also reflect on the rich heritage of First U's founders and many past members who birthed and nurtured our spiritual home through over a century and a half of change and growth, always focused on creating a safe space to explore, to question, and sometimes to debate possible answers to those questions. I'm grateful that we had such a strong foundation on which to build, in both the physical and spiritual sense, and grateful that I found my way to First U 18 years ago to be part of its continued growth. And in order to keep our church strong and thriving, it's essential that we collectively as a congregation, to the extent that we each can as individuals, contribute what we are able towards the sustenance of First U, so it remains available to all who wish to undertake a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The 4 ways to give are visible on the screen. You may also leave a donation of cash or check in the 2 white offering baskets at the back of the room. Your generous donations are received with gratitude. And now please join me in dedicating our offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings. If you have a chalice at home, please extinguish it now. As Reverend Larry extinguishes our chalice, I offer these words from Reverend Maureen Killeran. We extinguish this chalice flame, daring to carry forth the vision of this free faith, that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail in this nation and across the earth.
I want to thank the choir for the musical offerings that they've given us today, and our piano by our music director, Kathy Harris. I want to thank the AV team. Let's give them like a wave for all the work and challenges we gave them today. Thank you, Jan, for joining me. Today is our second Sunday Share a Snack Sunday, and any of you who may have brought a snack, thank you so much. It's all set up for you in the parish hall. You'll notice a few of our members are wearing yellow today, and they're available to people like me who are very shy and not sure who to approach, to go up to someone with yellow on, and they will gladly receive you and answer any questions that you might have about our congregation. This week, we have a lot of new programs that are launching. We have a continuing series of meditation. We also have, we have some book groups that are starting. I'm starting the class on Journeying with the Transcendentalists, I think, which starts on Wednesday. You'll see a brochure in our parish hall, opportunities to learn and to connect with others throughout the week, not just on Sunday. Okay, so our benediction comes from a friend of mine, Mark Bellatini. Go in peace, live simply, gently at home in yourselves. Act justly, speak justly, remember the depth of your own compassion, forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Crave peace for all the people in the world, beginning with yourselves, and go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart. Amen. Our closing hymn is Building a New Way. Please stand as you're willing and able, and you can use your percussion instruments.
That's great. That's great. much easier to see you with it.
Does it make a difference?
If you can, good.
Yeah,
6 feet, 6 feet.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't be in the center when people walk up and down and we have all sorts of rituals that happen. Yeah.
you.